This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association. Your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Thursday, June 6th of 2024. It is the second day of the World Pork Expo here in Des Moines, and we're so glad you can join us for today's show. In today's episode, I talk with John Hinners of the U.S. Meat Export Federation about some of the global practices they are doing to raise the consumption of U.S. red meat worldwide. But first, let's take a look at the closing market summary.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day in the ag marketplace, we're here with Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net. Of course, here reporting from the World Pork Expo in Des Moines. Robin, tell us a little bit of what's been going on in the grain markets today.
Soybeans led the charge. Up over 20 cents. Now, some of that, or maybe most of it, you could say they jumped on the news that Brazil proposed a new 20% tax on income. And so farmers stopped selling. They were going to stop selling grain to see what the outcome of was that when it went through their Congress, whether they're going to adopt that or whatever. So that permeated into the market quickly, pushed the market higher. And also the Maritime Labor Union in Argentina announced a port strike for 48 hours. And their tugboat owners chamber that they work with refused to negotiate on their agreement that expired. And so they're pulling a 48-hour strike on that. So you had both of those things together that propped up that market. Now, that's not maybe potentially a long-term situation. It just provided some support now, some short covering coming into the market.
All right, Robin. And then on the other side of the ag marketplace, obviously here at the World Pork Expo, livestock has been the focus for the past couple of days. So what do we see in the livestock, specifically the cattle and hog markets today?
Yeah, cattle, both cattle and hogs struggled today. There was a couple contracts in each that were a little bit higher. Traders just didn't know which way to go. Now, on the cattle side, I don't know if this had a real impact on it or not, but Iowa detected the first case of H5N1 in a dairy herd. And also there was other information coming out that there was one in Minnesota as well. Now, that it's caused some concerns in the market so far. The testing they've done on beef and all hasn't really been an issue, but the concern is there that we're keeping on seeing this going now and whether that will mutate into something else. And so we're seeing that moving a little bit more now. If they're adding another 2 states, that might be something that just continues to move along here. One of the ag people or the veterinarian people in the state said it's only a matter of time that they anticipated that we were going to get it into their state just because of movement and of cattle, even though there's restrictions on some movement, or just the virus in general. On the hog side, unfortunately, the contracts made new lows again today. Now they're not far from contract lows, but they made new lows, but they did rebound from that. It's tough to say whether the liquidation phase is over with. So we saw mixed prices, but we are coming to the weekend. The market is severely oversold. That might prompt or trigger some of the short covering that could be going into that weekend. But when we're looking at some of the fundamentals in that market, cash was unavailable today, but cash was down for a couple of days. Cutouts were up 66 cents, but that's been variable, hasn't been providing any solid support. One concern is hog weights. Hog weights The average weight last week was up 2.4 pounds from the previous week, and that's currently running 6.6 pounds above last year. That's a real cause for concern.
All right, Robin, lots of great information today. Thanks for taking the time to visit, and we look forward to hearing from you again soon.
All right. Thank you, and it's always a pleasure.
That again was Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net. We'll take a look at how the numbers close through the market window at iowaagnet.com. July corn up 12 3/4 at $4.52 even. July soybeans up 22 3/4 at $12 even. July soybean meal up $3.30 at $3.62.80. Soybean oil up $1.22 at $44.35. Chicago wheat down 7 1/4 at $6.39.5. Kansas City hard red wheat up 1 3/4 at $6.78 even. Minneapolis spring wheat down 5 3/4 at $7.06 3/4. July oats up 6 1/2 at $3.59 even. On the Merc, June live cattle up a nickel at $181.82. August feeders down $1.97 at $252.85. July lean hogs up 77 cents at $92.97. Pork cutout went unchanged at $105.35. And June class 3 milk up 4 cents at $19.54. And that's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, I talk with John Hinners of the U.S. Meat Export Federation. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. At the first day of the World Pork Expo here in Des Moines, I had the chance to visit with John Hinners of the U.S. Meat Export Federation. We had a great chat about all the things going on with the USMEF, including their global trips that they've recently taken and the advocacy efforts they are doing overseas to increase the consumption of U.S. red meat worldwide. We are here at the World Pork Expo at the Iowa State Fairgrounds in Des Moines, talking with John Hinners with the U.S. Meat Export Federation, Senior Vice President of Industry Relations with the U.S. Meat Export Federation, and a lot to talk about, of course, with the swine industry here at World Pork Expo. Been a lot going on as far as the pork checkoff goes with promoting and just kind of getting that global demand. A highlight right now is that increasing demand in Mexico. Tell us a little bit about that success story.
Well, first of all, exports have been a boom to the U.S. pork industry, so we're excited to be a part of it, play a major role in U.S. pork exports. And of course, we need to check off to be able to help fund the activities that we're doing. Latin America, specifically Mexico, has been so exciting for the U.S. pork industry. When you look at a great percentage of our hams going into Mexico on a daily basis, it's a excellent way that we're going to continue to be able to move that protein into that market. You go back to 1994, and we were less than 25 pounds of pork consumption in Mexico. Today, we've hit a benchmark. We're over 50 pounds of pork consumption into Mexico, and we're the major supplier of that pork. It's exciting to be able to do that.
And of course, kind of part of that has been just the increase of pork in the diet of Mexican consumers. And obviously a lot of work that goes into that is the trusted product that comes from America, and the Pork Checkoff doing work there, the pork industry as a whole doing that kind of advocacy work. So tell us a little bit about that advocacy work that's been going on to promote pork products worldwide.
Well, one of the things you got to do is be able to tell and share the total experience about U.S. pork. It fits well in a healthy diet. Give them the information about the product. It's safe and it tastes terrific. So when you can assure a customer that product's going to perform, you're going to have a repeat buyer. And as consumers around the world learn more about U.S. pork and U.S. pork products, they trust it. So a lot of what the U.S. Meat Export Federation is able to do, along with the Pork Checkoff, is education, promotion. And when you have the combination, you build repeat buyers all the time, whether it's at the retail sector or whether it's at the food service sector.
And, part of that global diversification has been taking trips abroad. Of course, recently was that South Korea and Japan trip. You were able to tag along on that. Tell us a little bit about that trip and what you guys were able to observe out there.
Yeah, I think when we're able to go into a market, first of all, we have a team internationally that takes care of the promotion. They're in market, but oftentimes we'll bring pork producers into a market so they can observe their dollars being invested, and we'll utilize them as spokespersons in that particular market. One of the things that you are seeing in the Korea market is a boom in home meal replacement. If you go into a grocery store or retail store in Seoul, Korea, you might see 30% to 40% of that store already prepared packaging, home meal replacements, easy to eat, take home and heat, home meal replacements. It's an exciting business, and the rest of the world is kind of looking at Korea and saying, how is this working out? Convenience is a major factor. You have 50 million consumers in South Korea, and they want convenience. Many of the households are very small, so large portion purchasing is something that you won't see in South Korea. So we can have home meal replacements with a U.S. pork loin or a portion of that belly meat, in a home meal replacement. They're going to be excited about having or taking that home. So convenience is the factor, and it's working. Consumption's going very well in South Korea. Our exports to that particular market have been good. Food service is rebounding, and while we're on Korea, you're also seeing U.S. Meat Export Federation going into a new segment of marketing in Korea, and that's called the cafeteria style dining. Many of the cafeteria dining, it's not what it used to be. The people that are running these companies with 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 employees are looking at ways they can retain their employees. So if you can up the quality of meals that they can have during the noon hour or lunch breaks, you're hopefully going to retain those employees. So we went and visited one particular company, and it's called Samsung. And you would think Samsung is an electronics company, but they have their own cafeteria dining company, and they serve over 1 million meals a day throughout Seoul, Korea, in that region. So if we can get more SKUs of U.S. pork or U.S. red meat on that cafeteria at a high level, that's an opportunity for advancement of our product in the marketplace.
That again was John Hinners of the U.S. Meat Export Federation. And that's all we have for today's episode of Ag Matters PM. Thanks again for tuning in. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Also follow us on social media at Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and TikTok, and find our video content as well as previous episodes of AM/PM on our YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when those videos go live. Don't forget as well our free morning, midday, and closing market podcasts, as well as Pods of Potential and the Iowa Ag Matters podcast. You can find those wherever you find your favorite podcasting service at Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. Here from the World Pork Expo in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Mark Magnuson, Andy Peterson, and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow back at the studio in Des Moines. This is Ag Matters PM.